2024 to order. Let me lead us in a word of prayer, please. Dear Heavenly Father, we're thankful for this day. Thankful for the weather we have and for the community we live in. I just ask you to be with all of our customers and be with us as board members. Help us to be cognizant of our customers' needs and our system needs, and help us do our very best to meet those in a fiscally sound way. Thank you for the opportunity each one of us have to represent our county, and just grant us help and understanding as we go through these meetings. It's in Jesus' name we pray, amen. There's no public comment, is there?
No, sir.
First item on the agenda for approval is the minutes from the April 17, 2024 Facilities Committee meeting. Can I have a motion?
I'll make a motion the minutes be accepted as presented.
Motion second. All in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries 3-0. Item 2 is contract award pump stations 2001, 2002, 2033, and 2034 electrical installation. Mr. Burris.
Yes, sir. You may recall 2 meetings ago, we awarded some purchase agreements for some electrical equipment and things of that nature, bypass pumps and a Georgia Power agreement for these stations. And we had discussed that what we would be doing is we would be GCing these projects ourselves and bringing back smaller contracts. So we went out for electrical quotes to install the equipment that we have ordered. We got 3 quotes from different providers, and you see the prices there on the table in the middle. This is for pump station 2001 and 2002, which are on the south end of St. Simons that serves the Village and Ocean Boulevard area, and then 2033 and 2034 on the north end of St. Simons that serves Hampton Point and Lawrence Road areas. The low quote for doing all this work is Tech Electric out of McIntosh County. $81,366. You see there's different prices based off the individual stations, but each of their prices is lower for every station. So staff recommends we award for all 4 stations to Tech Electric in the amount of $81,366.
Can I have a motion?
I'll move the Facilities Committee recommend the awarding a contract to Tech Electric LLC for electric installations at pump station 2001, 2002, 2033, and 2034 in the amount of $81,366.
There's a motion second. Any questions?
My question is, have we ever tallied up how often the joint water hires and what type of contract?
Not officially, but yes, sir, we have in general ideas. And I assume where you're going with this, why don't we hire our own electricians?
Either one, you hire your own electricians, which I sort of understand, but why not try to get a IDIQ contract in place for the year with multiple electrical companies?
We can take a look at that second thing. And the first one, we have tried to hire electricians. We've had a couple that have not stayed with us long term. But if any electrician is looking for a job and wants to work for the Water and Sewer Department, please send them to me.
More than glad.
There appears to be a shortage of electrical skills in the marketplace these days. Yes, but certainly we can look at the as-needed contract item like you were mentioning. That's something we've talked about doing that for multiple services. Just need to pull the trigger on some of those.
Now, are we sure we bought all the materials they need to do this work?
The only thing, material-wise, the conduit and conductors that are required to run between the different panels are included in their contract. But as far as all the equipment that needs to be installed, yes, we have ordered all of that. It hasn't all been received yet. Some of that is in place, but we want to go and get these contracts in place so that when the equipment is ready, they can start installing.
And what schedule do they have for this?
They don't have a defined schedule at this point because we don't have delivery of all of the materials yet.
So,
But no station is being budgeted to take longer than 30 days.
I was going to say, yeah.
okay, budgeted, but is that how long they have? What I don't want is I see why Delta was one of the firms. And you know how long it took to get the transfer switches in.
Yes, sir. We suspect that the work can be done at the stations within 2 weeks, but we have allotted bypass pumps for a month at each site.
And that was in the proposal
Yes.
that we sent out to
We
them?
did notify them of that, yes, sir.
And Tech, have we ever used them before?
They did some work on 4056 and 4059 on Old Cypress Mill, so we are familiar with their work, yes, sir. We were not the contract holder on that job, but they did work on our pump stations. We did witness their work and work with them through that process.
In the proposal, we didn't ask them to put a schedule as how they can do the work?
No, sir.
Okay. Any other questions?
You know, actually, kind of requesting a schedule wouldn't be a bad idea on each of these task orders.
Well, we didn't have it in the proposal, did we, Todd?
No,
schedule?
we didn't do a full-blown proposal because of the dollar value being less than 100,000. We
Right.
just got quotes from different providers that were local.
Yeah. We could do the work ourselves, couldn't
We have approximately 2 staff members that could do this work.
we? All right.
Well,
And they, if we could clone about 4 of them, we'd be in good shape.
And if they had more time.
Exactly.
Well, this is necessary work, so
Oh, I know, absolutely.
we've got a motion and a second. All in favor, indicate by raising your right hand. Motion carries 3-0. Thank you. Next item is contract award Highway 17 water main cases. Mr. Burrs.
Yes, Todd, would you mind pulling up GIS for these 2 locations? What we have an existing contract similar to what Commissioner Ford was just talking about for an as-needed directional drilling contract with DNC directional boring that go for line sizes up to 8 inches. However, this request is for 16-inch casings. So we went to them and asked what the price would be for 16-inch casings. And we have 2 locations, one on 17 at Harry Driggers and one at 17 on the South Mainland, right there across from Southport Mini Storage. There are customers on the opposite side of the road that are asking for service, and while we are in the process of looking at their service, it makes sense to install a larger casing than what would be necessary for their individual service lines to allow us to later expand the water systems on the other side of the main highways there. And since we're going to be doing GDOT permitting to put a 2-inch line under there, we'll do the same amount of permitting to put the 16-inch line underneath. So the price from DNC directional boring is $178 a linear foot to put this pipe in, and with both bores being approximately 200 feet, brings the total cost at $71,200 to complete this work. We will put the casing in and then stretch their service lines through the existing casings if this is awarded, and then at a later date we can expand the line underneath the roadway as necessary and then tie them to the new larger line with a shorter service. But particularly this one at exit 29, if you'll zoom out just a little bit, Todd, this gives us an opportunity to one day loop the system with a very short amount of pipe at a later date. You see the existing water system stops up there by Glynn County's fire station, and that is single fed across that road right there from Martin Palmer. So if this pipe gets across later, we can drop an 8-inch across there and then run 8-inch down the right of way to loop that section of the system in and go south towards Clearwater and Satilla Sands. So that's a good opportunity. And then on the Harry Driggers one, we have very limited water availability on the east side of Highway 17. And we had got quotes during the widening project from Highway 17 from the contractor that's doing that, and they wanted over $200,000 per crossing to install as part of that project. So getting one put in for $35,600 per casing seems to be a pretty good value for what we were receiving on earlier pricing.
So it'll be ready for future expansion.
Future
at that
expansion
point.
opportunities. We're gonna put one underneath there for the small diameter pipe. The request is to just be able to put a larger one in so that we don't have to do it twice.
Can I have a motion?
I move that Facilities Committee recommend awarding a contract to DNC boring directional boring for the installation of 2 casings for water main installation in the amount of $71,200.
I'll second the motion.
This is a
Motion
prime
second.
example of where our design review team takes a look at these things and see where we can partner as part of these projects to benefit our systems down the road, taking that larger picture look rather than just looking at the one location that is requesting service.
Any questions?
This falls under the 3 Ps, right? Prior proper planning?
Yes.
Okay.
Hopefully.
Right, exactly.
Now, when are the borings gonna be done?
At this point, they're on-call type boring jobs. They're working on some areas right now. They're finishing up Wesley Oak Circle, and they've got to go back into the El Dorado neighborhood, Menendez, Rivera, those streets off of Frederica. But given that there's customers that are going through the design review process that are trying to construct their new buildings that would need water to do that, these would probably be prioritized over those rehab jobs.
Now, they're gonna be widening 17 at both of these locations, right?
Well, right now, just the one on Harry Driggers is being widened.
Okay. The other ones,
Not currently, they're not planning on widening the south portion of 17, are they, Todd?
I'm not aware of
I'm not
that.
aware of
Yeah.
anything going on down there, other than that one intersection.
because you know when they're widening, they're putting a lot of fill on the sides. And we're going from right away to right away with the casing?
Yes, sir.
Casing, DOT will require us to do that, yes, sir.
Just to right away and right away, not 4 feet past the right away or anything like that?
Just past right away, right, so we can
Just past the
withdraw
right away,
Yes.
how far?
right to the edge, no further, you know.
Do we put brick or, at the end of the casing when it's finished?
They'll have casing end seals, which are
Okay.
the rubber end seals, in place, so we can withdraw the pipe.
And how long have we been doing HDPE for casing?
Casings, for quite a while. We first got PVC, fused PVC approved in lieu of steel casings, probably 8 years ago. And DOT now allows us to use HDPE, DR11, I believe it is, HDPE for casings now,
What does the railroads require?
steel. They still only allow steel.
All right. Any other questions? Hearing none, all in favor? Raise your right hand. Motion carries 3-0. Next item is contract to Academy Creek fence replacement, Mr. Burris.
Yes, sir. If you've driven by our Academy Creek plant, you'll notice that the chain link fence that runs along Highway 341 is severely rusted and corroded and is in a state of disrepair in some areas. Galvanized fencing doesn't typically hold up well around wastewater facilities due to the corrosive environment, so we got quotes from 3 local vendors to replace the existing chain link fence at Academy Creek that runs along 341 and down T Street around the gates areas on the side there. Low quote was from Coastal Fencing at a value of $29,000 even. We did confirm this work can be completed prior to the end of the fiscal year on June 30th. So this would be coming out of the operations budget this fiscal year.
Can I have a motion?
I'll move the Facilities Committee recommend awarding a contract to Coastal Fencing for the replacement of the fencing at Academy Creek WPCF in the amount of $29,000.
I'll second.
We'll say this is black vinyl clad fencing to give us a little bit more protection than just straight galvanized chain link.
Then motion and second. Any questions? Todd, can you pull up the Academy Creek plan on the screen, please?
1,100 feet. They have some, but they are pricey. We got some little cuts to hang on the fence of some specialty fencing that has worked well, but yeah, you're gonna pay for that to sit there.
Right.
The posts are aluminum post. Blow it up just a little bit and then, well, show us where the fence is gonna be. Yeah,
So fence is along the frontage, right,
Yes.
okay.
Down the side.
then down the side,
And then down T Street.
Yeah, that right there.
this piece down here.
And then what's along the back of the plant?
There are some fences along the back of the plants that are kind of into that tree line a little bit there. And then on the south side of the plant, there's wooden fence behind the headworks that has been replaced.
Where's that, right there?
Right there. Yes, sir.
No, that was replaced?
Yes, sir.
So you're satisfied we don't have any access once the fence is up?
I mean, I'm not aware of any access locations, I mean, unless somebody was to cut the fence or something like that. Because even the outfall location, there's a gated access to the outfall if somebody were to come in with a,
So if somebody's fishing up there by the outfall, they'd have to,
They had to come through a gate, yes, sir. I thought that was my truck for a second,
No.
but it was way too clean.
And it's gonna be replaced right where it is.
Yes, sir. We have very limited room to move that fence because if we come out even a foot, we're in railroad right away, and a foot on the back side of that fence is a buried power cable. So
Are we planning any landscaping at all along
we
there?
cannot, because of that reason. There's cable and power that run within a foot of that fence line, and on the other side is railroad right away. And my understanding that before I had moved here, there used to be shrubs right there, and that the railroad determined that they were in their right of way and weren't allowed to be in their right of way, and came by and took care of it for us.
So the fence is gonna be right against the railroad right away.
The fence is going in the exact same location it is right now, because there's really the railroad right of way is right there. Yes, sir.
There's no room between the
No, sir.
fence and our access road to plant any.
There's a major gravity line that comes in there, and there's a fiber optic power, and I think there may be some old cable in there that's not active anymore, but there is a buried power cable and fiber optic lines that come in there, plus one of the main trunk lines coming into the plant, 42-inch line.
Is there any kind of plantings that we can do that would grow up in the fence?
You could potentially look at things that would grow through the fence. My question would be where you would plant them without getting into that power cable. It had to be something with a very short root mass, not to get into that power cable.
Why would you want to? That's just more maintenance.
Also, the fence is only 6 feet, everything else behind it is considerably higher, so, yeah.
We've had some local nonprofits that have volunteered to potentially provide plantings that go in there. I've looked at it. I just don't know how we're going to plant anything on the inside of that fence without getting into some utilities. And again, the exterior apparently was at one point planted, but cannot be done.
I mean, if you want to block the view, you can always get those cheap slats.
Okay, can you do a street view looking into the site?
Yes, sir.
We've looked at some of the mesh things you put on there. The problem with those, and those can be done, but every time you get a good windstorm blow in the right direction, it pops the cable ties and you gotta go reinstall it, which is not necessarily difficult, just time consuming.
That's right. Why do you want to block the murals?
We got some more tanks we need to put murals on, don't we, Andrew?
I would refrain from comment on that, sir.
Light
Here's a
machinery
question,
gray.
don't we need?
Gunmetal gray.
I think everybody in Brunswick likes the murals.
Everyone that I've talked to from out of town always comments on
Go
those.
do further, and Todd, and show.
Well, that's a new picture because it got the new tank in there.
Yeah, go.
Fall under the category of you can't make everybody happy.
That's true.
But see that's an aeration basin right there, right,
Yes,
Andrew?
On the back, that in front, there's the new splitter box.
I mean, we could put a couple of fishes on that top one and then, right there.
We could certainly see what it would cost to do that, if that is of interest.
Maybe that'd be good trade with the college.
Y'all interested in
Some of
that?
their art students.
I think
Since-
concrete looks very attractive.
Better than the aquarium look?
Better than the aquarium. Everything you do requires maintenance. Concrete doesn't.
Well, that's true.
Well, we got a motion and a second on the fence, so any other questions
Literally
on
fence
that?
on this.
Hearing none, all in favor? Motion carries 3-0. Thank you. Next item is change order number 1, pump stations 3101, 4001, and 4002 engineering services. Mr.
Yes,
Brewer.
sir. We went into an engineering design, bidding, and construction phase service contract with Kimley Horn in March of 2022 to design improvements to 3 pump stations, 3101 on the South Mainland and 4001, 4002 in downtown Brunswick. There was an initial set of bid documents produced, advertised, and 1 bid was received in December of 22. that was substantially over budget for the rehab work. The commission voted to reject the bids upon staff recommendation at the December 2022 meeting. We requested Kimley Horn to remove items from the scope to theoretically increase the bidding pool and reduce the cost of the project to be in line with existing budgets. Kimley Horn did create a new set of bid documents that were significantly reduced in scope. We did receive only one bid again in August of 2023 and awarded a contract to Popco Inc. in August 2023 for the project. It was still over budget, but significantly less so. Kimley Horn has requested a change order to their original contract amount of $160,000 for the de-scope and rebidding efforts that they performed, with a requested amount of $20,000 to cover their services for that effort. We have significantly scaled back the on-site construction services from the original proposal so that that will hopefully not be an issue moving forward, but the request is, and staff recommendation is, that we award this change order for $20,000 for their original engineering contract for the rebidding efforts.
Can I have a motion?
I move that Facilities Committee recommend approving change order number 1 to the engineering services contract with Kimley Horn for pump station 3101, 4001, 4002 rehab project in the amount of $20,000.
I'll second the motion.
Motion and second. Any questions?
I guess my comment is, on all these proposals, why can't we send these proposals to these, I guess, contractors with a not to exceed amount? You know, on each one, if we know that we're giving them work and it's gonna be approximately $100,000, why can't we just say, look, if you do a scope and it's coming out to be 150, stop. Don't even proceed any further. We're not gonna put it out for bid. This is costing us $20,000 because we originally had too much work up there.
Yes, sir. The project had a lot of things included in it that perhaps would have been better fit as alternate items to see what would have been available within the existing budget. These projects were budgeted before the rapid increase in prices over the last 2 to 3 years.
What did we delete?
Some pump replacements, piping, roofing, HVAC. Basically, the existing scope of the project that is ongoing is almost entirely electrical replacements and some structural rehab to the building at Pump Station 4002. At one point, there was Pump Station 3101 was going to be converted to a triplex station. That got removed, so there was quite a bit of services that got removed from the project.
What was the total value of those items that were removed?
I think the bids were about $1 million less when we got the new bids back.
And what was the original bid?
Original bid was like 2.8, 2.9 million, and the new bid was like 1.8, 1.9 million. Don't quote me on those exact numbers, but it's in that ballpark.
And what was the original engineering fee?
160. Well, 160,000 included construction phase services. So I think on the letter they gave you a breakdown. The design services were 91,200 and bidding services were 8,000. And so the request is 13,617.50 for design services, 1815 for project management, and 4567.50 for bidding services to get to the $20,000 value.
And what does that percentage come to the construction cost?
The 180 is about 10%. Hang on, where's my finance book at?
And not to beat that dead horse while you're looking that up, paying $48,000 for construction and admin services for the pump station seems excessive.
That was in the original contract, wasn't it? The construction management for the pump station?
Yes, that was in the original contract. So the bid was approximately 1.8 million for the work, so 180,000 overall would be right at 10%.
Going back to Commissioner Ford's question, the construction administration, we outlined what that scope was for
We did, yes.
when we put it out for original proposals, and we received proposals from other engineering firms.
Yes, sir. Kimley Horn, if I recall correctly, his price was considerably better than the average proposal we received.
The
for these
construction management, did that include inspection too?
services. Yes.
But we're deleting some of that now, or what are we doing?
Well, they're not doing as much, the electrical inspector, with the subcontractor will still be involved on all the work, but as far as, they won't need as much civil and mechanical inspection because we're not doing much civil and mechanical as a portion of this. And so instead of having them on site for the bi-weekly meetings or monthly meetings, we're doing those all virtual to cut down on drive time and all that. So we've worked to reduce those cost of services moving forward with the project to make sure we don't get outside the budget on that for the engineering contract.
But these are just pump stations.
So they don't have anything in so far as amendment. They're just leaving the construction and the contract value at $48,000.
That's correct. There's no amendment to the construction phase services of this.
But the construction is less work.
That is correct, yes, sir.
I think that's what Commissioner Ford is asking, why shouldn't it be lower?
Well, not just that, I'm just kind of looking at the point of, if this is just a pump station. I can understand if you're doing a treatment plant, I can understand if you're doing more complex work. But if you're doing just a pump station, why can't we provide that service ourselves?
In the future, I think we can provide that service, but when this was released, it was the board had requested that we be less involved with our on-site inspection process so that there was less people involved with the projects and they didn't have as many people telling them what to do, the contractors. That was feedback we received consistently from contractors, that we had too many people involved with our projects, and allegedly that's why they were not bidding our work. So we were trying to have one point of contact being the engineer, with us not being there, but periodically, and not providing direct oversight every single day on the job site.
Any other questions or comments?
No.
But the contractor realized that the inspectors can't tell them means and methods.
Well, they're not supposed to be telling them means and methods. Yes, sir, that's correct.
We used to have that problem until contracting officer had to come to Jesus meeting with these contractors and said there's only one person who can direct it. If anybody else comes out here and tells you anything, it's just gossip. That's a significant amount of money, but anyway, I'm good.
All in favor indicate by raising your right hand. Motion carries 3-0. Next item is dedication of easements and infrastructure. Mr. Klein.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Residential construction on the north end of Glynn County continues to progress. This project is Woodland Cove Phase 2A. And as part of this development, the developer has installed an amount of gravity sewer and water. Zoom to the location real quickly so we can see where that is.
One advantage to finding this one is it's about as far north as you can go in our system, so it's pretty easy to locate.
It is the northernmost service area that we have. That is correct. So if we go all the way,
Is that the spur?
yes, sir. So if we go all the
This
way,
is the spur extension.
the
Yes.
spur
That's
extension.
the
That's
spur
correct.
extension, and we have a pump station at the very end, right, that does
Yes.
not have anything in it.
4134.
We had a conversation earlier about the station that didn't have any pumps in it.
Yeah.
3 years ago, that station was just a wet well that didn't have any pumps in it because there was no flow, and now this is the second phase going in, and the first phase is essentially built out, so they are.
And all of this is gravity flow to that pump station.
Yes.
And how many houses?
This is gonna add, 34 new single-family connections, this phase 2A will. And they're already moving along to phase 2B.
And they're all gravity lines.
Gravity lines, yes, sir.
It's all public right away, no easements or anything associated with this one.
Right,
And all the work has been inspected and approved by our inspection staff.
What size are the water lines in the
These
subdivision?
are 8-inch water lines.
All the way through?
Yes, sir. 8-inch gravity.
This is past 99, yes, sir. Right there by, across the
is
piece
this-
to the right is the new Board of Education property. They're gonna build a new
So
school.
this is completed now.
The infrastructure's
The
complete.
infrastructure is completed, correct. They're looking to, I'm not sure if it's going to Glynn County for plating, final plating for
Do
this.
they televise the sewer lines?
Correct, yes, sir. Every, all new construction, whether capital project or private, gets televised. Also televised and reviewed, yes.
We pressure tested the water lines.
Pressure test water lines, horseback T, even the sewer mains are pressure tested. And manholes
Where are the
and
water
back-
lines and sewer lines located?
Sir?
Where are the water lines and sewer lines located? In regards to the street?
Right, these are in the, let's zoom in so we can see a little bit closer here. Well, it doesn't show you very well because the old ortho. Record drawings are also included there. Come on.
Sewer's in the street.
Sewers in the street? The water's on the,
Water appears to be mostly on the shoulder.
Yeah, it's gonna look similar to phase 1, which the ortho shows phase 1, the majority of sewage are in. This one was designed back in 2010.
This is a good example. 2010, everything kind of shut down. A lot of these plans like this got dusted off, brought up to new standards when, we had a housing need, and so that's leading to a lot of the rapid housing development we're seeing, which is bringing a lot of customers to us. So our P&C team does a lot of reviews and stuff, and they keep pretty busy on things like this throughout the day.
Todd, do they have curb and gutter on the roads?
These are curb and gutter.
And they drain toward the curb and gutters? They got
No, sir, they don't have an inverted crown. Yeah, Glynn County will not allow inverted crown for public streets.
There are some private streets in Glynn County that are inverted crown.
Do our standards prefer the sewer to be in the center of the road?
Operations seem, it's access, especially in residential neighborhoods. Access is certainly easier, I think. Of course, if there's any repairs,
Until you have to patch it.
you're cutting asphalt.
right.
If there's any short side, if you're off of the shoulder, short side taps or repairs are good. If you have to go to the other side of the street, which you shouldn't have to in a planned subdivision, you're gonna end up cutting the road. But, accessibility, as long as it's constructed right, you got a good road base, you don't have growing manholes over time. They certainly are easier to find when they're in the street.
Is that what our standards say?
Yes, sir.
Did I have a motion? Or have we already had a motion?
We don't think we, yeah. I'll move the Facilities Committee recommend the full commission approve and accept this project with associated documentation.
Any other questions? Hearing none, all in favor? Motion carries 3-0.
Thank you.
The next item is agreement for supplemental utility locating services, Mears Broadband LLC and Boulevard LLC. Mr. Burrows.
I'm going to turn this one over to Mr. Klein because he's been more involved with this than I have, so I don't want to speak out of turn. Essentially what we're doing, and Mr. Klein can fill in the details, we had an agreement like this with a previous company that our Live Oak and their third-party installation contractors, my understanding, have decided that was not going to be effective anymore, and they've brought in this new company, Boulevard, BLVD, Inc., or LLC, to replace those services that were previously with the prior locate services contractor, and this is for the large project tickets for fiber installation. And the agreement is for them to initially focus on all the backlog of large ticket work orders that we have been unable to fulfill, and get us caught back up with those things, so that we can reduce the amount of line strikes that are occurring as a result of fiber optic installation throughout Glynn County.
That's a great summary as far as provided. I would add that, yeah, this should look familiar. We did approve, the board did approve a very similar agreement with a company called Breakpoint previously to help supplement the locate services. Everyone agrees, all parties agree that the demand for locates far exceeds the bandwidth that the utility providers, not just us, water and sewer, but also power, gas, other telecom, et cetera, can provide. We, of course, always want to try to work with other utility providers in projects to accommodate. This is a solution proposed by them to help supplement our locating responsibilities. No cost to Joint Water and Sewer Commission. It's an attempt, a good faith attempt, I think, for us to work with them. Still, and I'm happy for anyone else to jump in at any point. What you see attached, the agreement, now we were trying to expedite this for consideration. The agreement does have, I think it was a draft format that at the time when the agenda was put out last week, mirrors the two companies, the agreement, or three companies, Joint Water and Sewer Commission, mirrors Broadband, and then Boulevard, who is the locate company, are the three parties in this agreement. There were still comments kind of formulating in here. And we do have a more recent version with some hard copy, I believe, a stack of hard copies. Still smoking off the press.
We have them.
In the room with us here that can be looked at and reviewed or whatnot. So I'm not sure how we want to address this.
So, me and Charlie talked about it. This may be a situation where we haven't gotten an official response from Boulevard on this yet. There may be additional suggested changes that we need to work through. So this may be a situation where if this is something y'all are interested in entering into with these companies, that you could vote to authorize me to negotiate a contract with them. Otherwise, they're going to have to be held up to the June meeting to have anything like this.
It's a no-cost contract, right?
It is theoretically a no-cost contract, yes.
Do we have an idea of the backlog, of the numbers? Is that a ballpark number?
It depends on who you ask.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I assumed the other company was falling behind, and that's part of the reason why they're not involved.
Right. We've got several pages of large project tickets, the dates that were upon or have exceeded, and part of that is bandwidth. Part of that is we have our other customers and contractors that we have to do locates for, the everyday locates. Also must be served.
So are we still doing some locates for this?
We are still doing it. We get a priority list, and we are trying our best to stay with their priority list. The goal with any locate service is damage prevention. We have a certain amount of time to respond to locate tickets, and Mr. Klein and his staff have tried to prioritize those tickets in areas that would be more likely to have damages due to strikes. But we are unable to fulfill anywhere close to the amount of locate tickets we're receiving right now with these large project tickets and the ongoing work.
Now, if somebody else does a utility locate for joint water, you can see where I'm going.
Yes, sir.
Already. And
Glad you're asking.
either they misalign, they don't mark it, they don't do whatever, and Live Oak hits the water line. Right? Does that relieve?
Say you're talking about Live Oak. Live Oak does not call locate tickets. The contractors are calling them locate tickets.
Okay.
So,
What Charlie just discussed was exactly what I was talking about. With whatever contractor hits the utility,
Mhm.
right? So if somebody other than joint water
Mhm.
marks those, doesn't mark those,
Mhm.
you say it's a case-by-case basis.
So if they mark them and they mark them incorrectly, yes, they should be liable. If the contractor is digging where it has not been marked and the time frame for locate has passed, then it depends on what they did to use reasonable prudence in doing the digging.
But if we were to agree to this,
This one,
we wouldn't have a time frame because somebody else would do
Mhm.
it to still meet the time.
no, there's individual in each ticket that gets, for each large project ticket is negotiated for a specific timeline. And that is a separate contract from this. Okay, and that is a contract that is between, it's a form contract from Georgia 811, and that contract is between the contractor and the locate service. Yeah, the utility, right. So, and it spells out certain obligations and things, but this contract actually has some identification language in it, and it says that they, if they inaccurately mark infrastructure, they're responsible for reimbursing JWSC for any repairs. So you get into a position where, well, did they mark it accurately or not? Or did the contractor dig in the wrong spot? Or was it not marked in a timely fashion and the contractor proceeded anyway? And was he doing the things that is required by law to make sure he didn't hit any? So I know I didn't answer your question very directly, but
He answers like an attorney, right?
exactly. The short answer is it depends.
Can I ask you, a question? When we had the other contract in place previously, did we have another number of legal issues came up, or was everything kind of going along as expected?
There was very limited use of the previous agreement.
Oh, there was, okay, all right, so we never
Why
got to the
that?
point where we might have that.
But there are several legal issues that have been presented,
All right, okay.
yes.
So
And
they
there's,
want to replace the,
They want to replace the existing agreement with this agreement for a new contractor for locate services. Not 100% sure why they want to replace it. The old locator can't keep up with it either.
My perspective on this is that I don't think we should hold this up for a month. I think we should go ahead and allow you and Charlie to go ahead and negotiate the thing, because I think if we wait a month, it could be more problems for us. We could end up with more line breaks and issues, because we're only gonna be able to do so much. And maybe the contractors are getting pretty aggressive and decide to go ahead on their own and do stuff. So I'm inclined to think that would, rather than it be formalized with us, you reach an agreement, it will authorize you to go ahead and reach an agreement with them, and then we can discuss it next month or just finalize it from our perspective, if we could do that. I think.
yeah, that's perfectly fine. I mean, this is a service contract. There's no monetary outlay, so it's within his authority to sign it regardless. But, we may hear back from him before tomorrow anyway.
Right, yeah.
But if we don't, I think that's the proper way to go about it. It's just authorize.
can we go ahead and present the motion that's written here?
It depends.
Forward it, so you want to forward it to the full commission, and then we'll decide
Right.
tomorrow whether we have a full agreement or to allow me and Charlie to work something out tomorrow.
Yeah, I think that recommended motion's fine.
The motion here is okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. I'll move the Facilities Committee recommend the full commission enter into the contract with Mears LLC and BLVD LLC to perform supplemental utility locating at no cost to the JWSC.
I'll second.
Motion second, all in favor? Motion carries 3-0. Thank you.
Someone's got homework tonight.
We'll move to the discussion section, water production report, Mr. Burrows.
All right.
Yes, sir. You will see some changes on our water production report due to, on the mainland here, because the Howard Coffin well was down due to some electrical issues that have been corrected now. So you see much lower flow at Howard Coffin and Goodyear Park, and it looks like Brunswick-Glynn took up the slack there. But got a little bit more out of the old Fletsy well there, so that was good to see. But just shy of 5 million gallons a day on the mainland for the month of April, which was a reasonably wet month, so that likely less outdoor water usage for the month. But pretty much in line with where we've been for the past 5 months in that. Water loops that have been done seem to haven't caused any issues. If anything, has allowed us to balance the system a little bit better. Don't like seeing the Brunswick-Villa well running over 1 million gallons a day given the age of that well. However, with Howard Coffin and Goodyear both having issues for the month, that sort of happened. So one advantage that our system has compared to a lot of systems, we have so many different well sites that if one of them goes down, our customers don't notice any difference because we just turn the other wells up and they start picking up the slack.
Andrew, which of these wells are Miocene wells?
On the mainland, the Golden Isles 1 and Golden Isles 2 are Miocene wells.
Do we have to continue using those?
It would be a struggle not to use those right now because of, particularly along the Highway 99 area, to get adequate flow in those regions.
Todd, can you show us where those wells are?
And then what happens when we do the canal road? Will that make a difference?
That will make a difference, yes, sir. That should take some of the flow requirements off of Golden Isles 1 and Golden Isles 2.
Mm-hmm. What kind of flow will we expect from the canal?
You'd probably be looking in the 600,000 or 700,000 gallons a day range. I mean, the wells are usually 1,000 gallon a minute, 1,500 gallon a minute pump. High service pumps are 1,000 gallons a minute. So, I mean, they're not going to run all day long. So that gives you an idea.
Mm-hmm.
But if we're over 1 million gallons a day on a well, it's running pretty much continuously.
We have to use more chemicals on the Miocene wells, don't
A little bit more, yes, sir. A little bit more.
we? Just a little bit?
Just a little bit. It's not a tremendous amount more, no, sir.
All right, I can show you both of them here. So Heritage Boulevard here, I-95 of course, and Heritage Boulevard, the canal. As soon as you cross the canal, Golden Isles 1 is right here, Miocene well.
And where's our canal well gonna be?
Further down Heritage Boulevard.
Okay, all right, okay.
And then Golden Isles 2 is right there at 99.
Yeah, okay.
Right.
Yeah, I see the runway, okay.
Right, yep, so Golden Isles 2 is up here, almost to the spur extension.
So given the amount of new construction that has come online along that Highway 99 corridor, we just talked about Woodland Cove at the far end of the spur extension. If that well was not running, the closest well to that would be Ridgewood, down here on Perry Lane Road. It'd be
Where's
pushing water a
Ridgewood?
long
It's
way.
a long, yeah, that's a long way away.
This is canal, it's being improved right now.
Now, Todd, have we been approved by EPD to drill any other wells along this area?
So I believe we have. We're looking at that and we're getting that in writing. But to my knowledge and recollection, we've got at least one well approved off of the 99 corridor. So,
Can y'all give us a report on that at the next facility meeting?
Certainly.
Okay.
On St. Simon's for the month, about 2.5 million gallons. You do see a little bit of an uptick from where we've been the last 3 or 4 months as we've had a few more people in town from beginning with the tourist season and a little more outdoor water use likely on the island. Harrington well bumped back up a little bit there, a little bit less usage on the south end of the island, had a little bit of electrical issues at the airport well, but nothing major with that regard, but still a little bit lower than where we were this time last year at those well sites, but we are seeing the trend for increasing water usage on the island as we go into the
one
summer
past
months.
The water.
You're on the sewer.
We're on sewer.
And at exit 29, right at 300,000 gallons a day. We have very consistent water usage at exit 29. We do have some commercial, but mostly residential usage at exit 29. So you do not see a lot of fluctuation in the area, but those two wells are very well balanced on the south end.
And then on the exit 29, the new well we'll be putting in, the new water production facility there. Again, there's the same kind of, it'll balance it out a little bit
You
more.
won't see a tremendous amount of, there won't be any increase in flow really from that. So they're both running, about 150,000 gallons a day. So theoretically, they'll all three be running about 100,000 gallons a day as a result.
But there also is new construction coming
New
in that
construction
area.
coming along in that corridor right there, and the main benefit of that well site is the way the exit 29 system is currently a T-shaped.
Right.
And so it's pushing from either end, and then when there's pressure fluctuations at the end of the stem of the T, those customers at the end see some wide pressure fluctuations and other portions of the systems do not.
But the loop should fix that.
That would help that a lot, yes, sir.
That's gonna make a difference.
That would make a big difference.
Right.
We've got some pressure transducers in place so that we can manually turn things on to help out if that happens now, but having something down the stem of the T will be a big help. A long way from Brookman Well down Old CCC and Buck Swamp before you get to 17.
Yeah, is it 10 miles?
It's a long way out there.
Oh, okay.
I want to commend our water production people because we've had about 5 or 6 months where we haven't had any odor or taste complaints at all. And that's really good. I mean, most systems have 1 or 2 a month.
Right, absolutely. Yes, sir. And then our water loss reports, and I will say when we get into this, anytime you have water loss reports or things like this, we have multiple meters. We have all the individual meters and we have the well meters, and there will be fluctuations month to month based off of inaccuracies in the different meters.
Mhm.
But for the month of April, water produced versus water metered, we're showing a 8.77% unaccounted for water number. I would not expect that to be the norm going forward. However, it does look pretty good for this month.
Yep.
We do, to the best of our knowledge, have all of the old meters replaced now with the new meters. So that helps out. Our water distribution crews finished those up earlier this month, the last few dozen that were hanging out there. So it's unlikely we're ever going to have 100% AMI because some of the times the meters don't read. We have to go out and get those readings because something got in the way. But we did get over the 30,000 mark on AMI readings for the month. I mean, we said 8.7% water loss. That sounds really good, but that still works out to 700,000 gallons of water a day. So it's still a lot of water that is being either metering inaccuracies or usage in the system for, say, flushing hydrants and things like that is going on. So
Well, by utility standards, that's pretty good number.
anything under 10%
is a really,
considered
yes.
exceptional. That's
Yeah.
why I would not say that 8.77 should be the expected norm moving
No.
forward.
Did we have any customers that we had to have them out so far as leaks or anything this past month?
Well, Ms. LaDonna sent me those numbers right before this meeting. Hang on. I'll get you the specific numbers. Since our last meeting, we have contacted 1,234 customers about continuous consumption.
Good grief.
425, we sent them letters because we did not have a cell phone number for them, and 809 of them we contacted via text. And we still have currently about 800 active continuous consumption notifications going off in the system.
So our response rate is not terribly good.
The problem is there's a recurring number. We get 100 of them fixed and 100 more show up. So we have seen progress, obviously, in this system, and people are responding quicker. We did anecdotally have a conversation this morning with one of our customer service personnel that processes most of the leak adjustments. She said she's having to, unfortunately, issue a lot more leak adjustment denials than she previously had because we're notifying them before their leak amount qualifies them for a leak adjustment.
Right.
Okay.
So we are getting these things corrected, but it is a recurring process. And when I say there's 800 continuous consumption, we know hotels and
Yeah.
certain areas are going to always have continuous consumption. But I would say at least 600 of those are residential customers.
And what we're really doing is looking to flag the very ones with the very large numbers, really large usage.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can you track success stories?
We can certainly try to pull some of that out. We've got some examples and things like that. We
Because it would kind of be interesting to let people know.
we let Charlie know about it pretty quickly.
The long showers there, huh? Yeah, I think some success stories would be nice. I mean, because it's a really great service to be able to inform customers about what's going on, and certainly better than a surprise when the bill arrives. And I know that it's kind of a learning curve for not only us, but also the customers.
Well, the hope, and Ms. LaDonna is working through this process, is that before, if all goes well, before the end of the year, we'll have a customer portal where they can log in and see their usage.
Mm-hmm.
And not only that, they can set up alerts for their water usage and get alerts themselves without us having to push all these alerts out.
Right.
Which I think will be a tremendous benefit for people that are trying to reduce their water usage, to know that today I used 400 gallons of water and I typically only use 150 gallons of water. What did I do today differently that would indicate my water usage went up? And then also, of course, if there is a continuous consumption, it can email you or call you or something like that through that system. And that takes a lot of the, not that what we're doing is extremely labor intensive, but it is a time consuming process to contact every one of these customers.
Certainly, yeah. And I think the mindset of the customers has to be modified too, because people don't consider water, they just, just use it. They don't really think about it so much.
Well, one thing, and it is an education process, people hear that they've lost 10,000 gallons of water in a month. And the assumption is if I lost 10,000 gallons of water in a month, my house would be flooded.
Yeah.
Well, if you divide that over 30 days, that is a very small amount of water per minute that is leaking out. And
Right.
particularly in the sandy soils that we have, it is entirely possible there is no physical evidence above ground that there's water going anywhere.
Yeah. Well,
So,
I appreciate the efforts. I know I spoke with Ms. Roberts about it, and I know it's kind of like, it really caught us by, the numbers caught us by surprise. We weren't expecting that large, the numbers. And I think you've made a lot of adjustments, and the automatic notification system, I know, is, you've changed that, so you can notify people that we have the cell phones of, right?
I will say my kind of gauge is when I log into the system in the morning, if the number is below 800, I feel like we're making progress. And when it hops up above 800, we got a new batch we got to go approach.
Yeah, yeah.
Which 800 sounds like a large number. That's less than 3% of our customer base that is dealing with
Yeah.
continuous consumption.
Like mine was, my ice maker was leaking.
Yeah.
Really?
It was getting hot.
Melting, and so it had to
Oh, we could refill all the, yeah.
They notified me it was like a half gallon to a gallon a day or something like that. It was continuous. And so it wasn't hardly anything. So some of those.
yeah, some of those are very small.
Yeah.
A lot of them are going to be, and we say this, and it's the standard toilet flapper. You'll use between 4 and 8 gallons an hour
Right.
that you will never notice unless you hear the toilet refilling the tank because the water has drained out of the toilet tank. Particularly if you got houses that they've got spare bedrooms and bathrooms that don't go in frequently, they
Right,
don't get
sure.
used a lot, those kind of
Right.
things happen.
Right. Yeah, because I mean, if there's something dripping in a faucet, you would notice that, obviously, so that would be a little bit more notice. Yeah. Well,
And of course, if there's a leak in your front yard, you may notice a pressure change before you notice there's a change in an actual evidence. But if it's just draining through a toilet, there is going to be no change in pressure at your house as it refills the tank.
Let's proceed to the wastewater now.
Yes, sir. Academy Creek for the month, like I said, we did have a little bit more rainfall total for the month, right at 8 million gallons going through the plant for the month, about 60% of the design flow rate there. You do see a slight reduction in the BOD, a little higher TSS, probably due to some first flush issues. First flush is when stuff settles out, and then all of a sudden when the rain comes through it, all the stuff that settled out in the lines get to the plant. So when you get a big rain event, you'll see a slightly elevated amount of TSS coming into the head of the plant for all the fines that have settled out for those days. Leaving the plant continued to have ammonia issues. However, we did get aeration basin 2 back online, and that has shown some improvement since we've got that back online. So we're hoping that number will continue to drop for the coming months. And we are having some issues with our disinfection process right now that we are trying to pinpoint. We are having, as you see, TRC is total residual chlorine. We are having residual chlorine. So it is not all being consumed, but we are having some issues with enterococci at the plant at this moment. But you do see at the far right there, we pressed a lot of sludge for the month of April. Got a lot of flow in, a lot of debris in. We had to waste a lot of solids out. And so we put a lot more sludge through our facility, almost 100 dry tons of sludge to the landfill for the month. So Sarah is working around the clock.
Sarah's been busy.
That's all from Academy Creek.
That's all from Academy, yes, sir.
Yep.
Dunbar Creek, 3.5 million gallons going through the plant for the month. Expect that number to come down a little bit this month. We did have a lot of rain the last couple of weeks, but the flow has been decreasing a little bit from the end of April and early May before the rain this week. But plant was within permit on all areas here. 98% BOD, 99% TSS removal for the month. And you see there another 22 tons of sludge. So landfill charges were a little higher for the month with the amount of solids we were dealing with. And then exit 29, right at 500,000 gallons going through the plant, which is a third of the capacity. That is a 1.5 MGD facility. Facility is well within permit, being significantly underloaded like it is. 98% BOD and 98.5% TSS removal from the facility. I will note on the Dunbar project, we have started up the reuse water system on site. We're still terminating all of the locations where the reuse water will be going through the plant, so we should see less domestic water usage at the plant as a result of that. We are using the new reuse system to water test the new clarifier structure as we speak.
And with the construction projects that Dunbar get done, the percentage of capacity will
Go from
decrease.
4 to 5, yes, sir.
Yeah, okay, so then we'll be,
Andrew, can you explain to me why the effluent ammonia limits at Academy is so much lower than the other two plants? It's 1 at Academy, it's 2 at Dunbar, and it's 13 at Southport.
That has to do with the amount of flow, so the total loading going to each receiving stream and the characteristics of that receiving stream. The Academy Creek permit has been reissued since the issuance of the Brunswick Harbor TMDL for dissolved oxygen, and long-term BOD are included in that. Previously, we had a much higher limit at Academy Creek. There were requirements on the paper mill that they would actually aerate the river for their discharge, and they ceased doing that, and as a result of ceasing doing that, there was less available oxygen to consume anything that was leaving any other permits. And so that is why we saw such a significant reduction at our ammonia limit and BOD limit at that facility. It was because there is very little assimilative capacity for discharge in the river with such a low dissolved oxygen. That is a natural reaction to being on the coast with the tidal areas. You will have dissolved oxygen issues, plus upstream dischargers consuming oxygen with their discharge. And of course, the flow being 13.5 versus at Southport 1.5 on a total loading 13.5 million gallons a day at that permit capacity is a substantial amount of ammonia that could be discharged to the river.
Okay. Okay, now we go to projects.
All right.
now this is the fun part.
Thank you, Commissioners. Go quickly through this. All right, first project is ARCO Area Water and Sewer Extension. It's a good in-action shots there. The project's approximately, well, it's a little less than 80% complete, somewhere around 77% complete. UWS is our contractor. They are doing some of the work within the alleyways in between the homes, progressing, and hoping to wrap this up. I think officially it's supposed to wrap up in July. I'm not quite sure we're going to meet the July completion date, but we're looking for maybe midsummer.
That one photo at the top, what's that pipe behind the sewer pipe? Is that a storm drain pipe?
Yes, sir.
Behind this, yes, sir. Yeah. So this pipe here
Yes.
in the wall, yes, sir. So storm drainage has been one of the biggest challenges, especially we found working with the contractor. Some of the reroutes that have been incorporated in here, dodging the existing storm sewer has been one of the challenges there. There we go. That's a pretty dry looking hole there that you see there for next project, galvanized replacements. system-wide, funded each fiscal year. All right, we've got Mr. Kelly there holding up a good section of the goody stuff that comes out of the ground. You can see the tuberculation on the inside of the galvanized, the steel, and then even the corrosive buildup on the outside of the pipe as well that happens in our soils.
What percent of our galvanized pipe have we replaced, do we think?
We've replaced 10 to 15% thus far.
All on the mainland?
No, sir. Most of it has been on St. Simon's.
Ongoing project. Next one is Canal Road Water Production Facility. And one of the milestones in the project was getting the old gas service abandoned, and it'll actually be relocated to the new generator pad as part of this project. Reeves Young working with the Southern Cove gas folks that are on site. Next project is part of the 3 pump station project, rehab project 4002, 4001, 3101. This is 4002, looking really nice inside with the structural repairs and also the wall repairs, prepping for painting on the inside. Now, I believe that's our Sherwin-Williams rep that's there taking a look at the wall prep that Popco, our contractor, has done. And that's a temporary door. That looks like obviously a residential door. That's not permanent. That's a temporary door,
I didn't think
but
it was.
it's
I was
about 10
hoping
times better than the door that was there.
The door that was there was a bit drafty.
Yes, yes. So that's a nice 1960s vintage station, fantastic structure, and we're rehabbing it, giving it another 60 plus years worth of life. Electrical, mostly. All right, part of this blocking up the electrical room, it's going to have air conditioning in there to keep the new electrical panels and control panels, all that nice and cool. Pump station 4044 rehab, right there in front of Brakes for Less, close to Publix Shopping Center, Walmart Shopping Center. That's our first section, or the bottom section of the valve vault. It looks humongous sitting on the hill, but it will fit. It is the size it's designed for, that our engineer LEA out of Valdosta has designed. And Popco also is the contractor of this project. That's their crane on site and their Traco in the background. And they're going to utilize our mall tank, elevated storage tank. The site over there is a nice big site. It's gated. They're going to keep some of the structures out of the way and over there. So it's nice, convenient location for them to do that. Looking to start sheet piling next week. And that's going to be an engineered trench shoring endeavor. So as they excavate down, do the depth and the proximity to the existing roadway and just the kind of confined quarters there, it's actually an engineered, and I had to remind myself of a term I hadn't heard in quite a while, whalers, which are the reinforcing bars that go inside, and they're custom fabbed for the sheeting. So we'll start seeing some excavation happen pretty quickly out there. Next project, Dunbar Creek.
Yeah, Dunbar Creek. This top photo is actually a really good shot. It tells you a lot of work's going on. You see right there the 2 existing clarifiers. There's some wood in between those 2 clarifiers, showing you where the new splitter box is going, or the addition to the splitter box is going to divert flow to the 3rd clarifier, which you see at the top of the photo. There's now been more concrete poured. They're essentially done with the wall pours on the clarifier. They are done with the wall pours on the clarifier. They got to pour some on the top for the walkways. That is being water tested now to confirm it's not leaking. Have not been notified of any found leaks on that structure. They're still waiting on delivery of the internal mechanisms for that. And then there's also work ongoing. You see that second picture there. You can see it in the first picture as well. They're digging for the new RAS and scum lines for the clarifier. The clarifier has scum, which is floating solids that get scraped off the top, and RAS is solids that come off the bottom. So you have to put them in different directions, and so they'll both go to different locations. A new scum pump station is being installed, and a new RAS pump is being installed for the new clarifier in that block building you see right there.
Can you pull up an aerial of Dunbar? Would it be a recent?
Yes. And you might,
B-roll,
you
there's
might could
some.
go to Google Maps and see what's most recent.
That might be a riff,
I don't know when it was updated.
Is the contractor pretty much on schedule on this?
Current schedule has completion July the 24th.
Okay.
That is not on schedule, but not too far behind.
But we added a clarifier to the project.
Look, that is,
Shows up.
And the new filter and the UV is in operation.
Rocking right along, everything's
Yeah,
moving
that's
well
already
on
up.
that.
UV's already working there, right?
The
Yeah.
UV and the
And,
filter
and,
are
and the
very-
diffusers in the aeration basins.
Right.
We are currently not running the post aeration because we're getting sufficient drop out of the UV system that we don't need to post aerate right now. So
Really? Okay.
it's been a
That was a
welcomed,
Good investment,
good investment so far.
for
on
sure.
that.
Okay.
And they're gonna reside all that.
They're gonna
reseed that.
hydro seed it, and as any contractor, I'll tell you, the worst part of any job is trying to get grass to grow after the fact. Because it'll rain the entire project, and then you start putting grass seed down, and it won't rain for 8 weeks.
Okay. All right, thank you, Todd.
Yes, sir. Put that reuse water on
No, not a permit.
it. Get back to my thing here. Here we go. Okay, so,
That's
Alright.
that's a zoom in on the splitter box there on the top. I mean, I'm sure Commissioner Turnipseed's probably seen quite a few of those on that move down a little bit tighter, that top one. The forms on the clarifier go down. That first picture on the next page. There you
Yep.
go. You see how they form that entire wall up before they start pouring that clarifier out. So, a lot of work goes into that clarifier. Got a new site superintendent, George, who is very on the spot with the concrete work that's going on, so that's been encouraging to see.
okay, all right. so-
Concrete trucks come through the public streets.
No, concrete comes in the back entrance right now. They've had to re-rock or try to re-rock the back road a few times with the amount of concrete that's been coming in there, because
I can
it's wearing that road out.
imagine. Sure.
Okay, pump station 4001, Popco, while the work's going on at 4002, just down the street at 4001, they're looking at the control panel improvements that are gonna be required there in the old odor control area, or corrosion control or odor control, I can't remember which one it was. Demoing that, so they haven't forgotten about the other two stations. 3101 on the south end, also doing the measurements and whatnot, and a little bit of vegetation cutback is gonna be included in that project as
On
well.
item 2 under 402108, 6-inch discharge bypass piping.
Yes, sir.
So we have that there.
There is an existing, yes,
That's what's in the weeds over here?
yeah.
Yeah.
Needs to be cut back and cleared out, but there's an existing bypass connection there.
It's in the alley right behind, in between the port property and.
So that's where we could put a bypass pump.
We'll pull out of the wet well, go
Right.
straight into that standpipe.
Yeah. Okay.
I want to tell you something, looking at the pictures, it's very refreshing, because you see people working. When you drive along 17, where there's way more people standing around than there are working on the project. So at least these people here in our pictures are actually doing something,
You
so,
mean on a DOT project?
yeah. Yeah, I'm telling you, everywhere you go, there's more trucks and more people standing around than there are few people working.
Right. One of the features of the project at 3101 on the south end is the power service drop replacement. It's gonna be underground once it comes to our site, so it's gonna get rid of that overhead drop. And then also there's a drop to the adjacent AT&T building that goes right over the top of our pump station site. That's getting relocated also, so.
Right, I remember that
It's
from
awful
last
hard for
time.
the guys to get a
Yeah.
back truck even in there.
Well, pretty soon all of our pump stations will be up to snuff, right?
I won't go for all, but we're working through the process, yes, sir. When you got 165 of them, there's always something that needs working on.
Of course, we're still working to wrap up our mall and Oglethorpe tank rehab projects. The tanks are painted. It's just down to mechanical issues with altitude valves and whatnot, and getting our contractor over the finish line on that. So we've got Chapman Technical Services, our third-party engineer, tank inspector, doing some final punch list items there. Got the appropriate climbing gear on. Okay, Wesley Oaks, Circle Water Main improvements. Part of the-
Do any of our people follow him when he's doing his inspection to
We don't
learn
go
something?
up, no, sir.
No.
Typically not climbing.
We'll be there if he's doing the mechanical stuff in the bottom and in the pits. but
Do we check it though? Do we see what he does so far as paint, mill thickness and stuff like this?
Sure, lift-offs and whatnot, yeah, we do. And then also we don't, not included in this report here, but normally you'll see some of the UAV footage that we'll take, the video footage, which more and more utilities are using, we've learned. Wesley Oaks,
Yeah, as the end of last week, Wesley Oaks, we have 4 services that need an installation and 1 connection that may require a slight reroute from what was originally planned due to some above-ground conditions that didn't get picked up originally. But hopefully those will be taken care of this week or next week, and then we can start pressure testing and doing pre-chlorination and everything, get everybody hopefully tied in within the next month or so out there, and we can wrap that project up. This is one of the ones we used the on-call directional drilling contract to put the mains in, and then our crews are going back doing all the tie-ins and service installations.
When are we gonna do the Frederica Road cut?
Recon on that is next Tuesday, so we got to work that out with Glynn County, obviously with the right-of-way permitting, and it will obviously be done at night. So we're still working.
It'll be
through
after Memorial Day then.
that. Yes, I highly doubt we're going to get it before Memorial Day.
yeah. All right, that's the last picture in the picture report. Detail sheets, spreadsheet included, of course.
We did talk about pre-cons, like you said, the 40, 105, 107 force main pre-con and the CPOMS Frederica force water main are Tuesday. We held the pre-con last week for the RAS and UV installation at Academy Creek. Contractor has requested a little bit of a delayed start that I requested a schedule from him before we agreed to. He seemed to indicate that if he got a delayed start, he could focus on it and get it done quicker. So hopefully that is the case. Canal Road, we've had the pre-con on that. That's supposed to kick off early June. And then we had the pre-con yesterday for the 4002 CIPP project. They're hoping to get started on that probably right after the 4th of July. And then Highway 17 North.
Friday, we got a meeting.
Friday's the pre-con for that.
Not happening? Was it 31st? Oh, I thought it
So a
was
couple
Friday.
weeks on that
Okay.
one.
Yeah.
And then there's one more we did. Brunswick-Glynn.
Brunswick-Glynn, yeah.
So that's supposed to kick off this summer as well. So not have many pictures in the projects right now, but we got about 5 or 6 projects about to kick off as well. So hopefully we'll be able to wrap some of these existing projects up so that we don't have an overwhelming amount of photos for you each month.
Brunswick-Glynn, I think we're gonna schedule the community town hall, thank you. Yeah.
He's wanting to start 2 in July, but we're still going back and forth with that.
The North Mainland tank is being advertised now,
It goes live tomorrow.
and when's the bid opening? And when's our council, commission meeting?
June 19th. So we'll
That's
have that
expensive
for you in
facilities.
July. We'll have you some preliminary numbers, but we'll have a recommendation for you in July.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anything else?
Not for this meeting, sir.
Motion to adjourn,
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
all in favor? Meeting's adjourned, thank you.
I got you 2 of the 3. I ain't got Southport done to you yet, but that's the 2 big ones.
So which,
I can. Let me tell you, those things are